Hey y'all, it's Trisha, and today I thought I'd show you how I make one of the elements that I use in my digital art all the time, and that is called a clipping mask. Now, these have been available for years through various scrapbook designers who create some of the most fabulous design elements to use in your digital art, but I'm gonna make them myself. And all you need is, I have some watercolor paper here. Sometimes I like to use watercolor paper so that you can get some of these really scraggly edges. And sometimes I use just plain cardstock because it is a little difficult to select out the texture of the watercolor paper when you're working with these digitally. So they're really simple to make. And I use a clipping mask in just about every image that I do. I even did one last week using the figures, and I clipped an image to that particular shape. So we are going to use, I've got some smaller gel prints. These do not have to be large because you're going to photograph them at the end. I have some various stamps and wood blocks and some stencils. This one is from Darcy Sanders. This one is from Paula Keen. Eddie makes art for this one. And this one, I believe, is one of PM Artist Studio's designs. All of these are available at PM Artist Studio. I'll put the link in the description box. I have some roll-off paper, small brayers. I even have some brushes that we can use, and black and white paint. That's all you need. So I thought we could get started doing these. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use just some plain black paint, and I'm going to use one of these gel plates as a palette, and I'm going to work on the other one. And just put some paint out, and this is how simple it is. You can use a brayer. And typically, I just work on the paper because it's easy. And you just make a shape. And we're going to go with this for our shape. And I like to have these little extra edges out and about. You can even add another part to this if you want. And I just play around with the shape until I get something that I want. Literally, that's all it is. I'm going to move on to the next one. This one is on watercolor paper, and it is on the rough side. So now I'm going to grab some plain cardstock, and this is super inexpensive, really thin cardstock. And we're going to do the same thing. Now you can use the gel plate and print on it. I like to use the gel plate kind of as a working surface, like a mat almost. I kind of like the squishy feel. And this is just going to be kind of a plain one, but these are very useful. And on this one, I am just going to need more paint. You can just make a brush stroke. Brush strokes are kind of interesting to photograph as well. Let's do one on watercolor paper. All right. Now, I'm going to let these all dry. I'm going to go ahead and let's try a couple more. I've not used a shaper, one of these acrylic paint shapers before. Each tool you use has a unique mark. See if I can get some to come out right there. Okay. That was the shaper. And what else do I have? I have a large brush. I will need more paint. I'm going to try the watercolor paper because I do like the texture. Let's do like a circular one. Okay, so now that you have all your little shapes out in black, we're going to let them dry, and then I'm going to photograph all of these. And then when we come back after they're dry, I'm going to stamp into them with white. And that's very important that you use black and white, because eventually you're going to select it out, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So this is the starting process. So when these dry, I'll be back. All right. So I'm back after these have dried, and I've already taken photos of all of these, and now I want to put some designs on them, whether it's in black paint or white paint. I'm going to use primarily white paint for this, and because I want these designs to kind of show up in the image that we're going to create later. So when I'm taking a look at this one, I'm trying to decide what I want to put in there. I think I might do some of these runes right through here. And I'm going to take a little paint shaper. Let's move these over here. Oh, I need to clean this up. Okay. I'll try to get this through the stencil where I want it. I'm using, I think my black paint is Liquitex Basics, and the white is the Dick Blick matte paint. It's a little bit thick, which is what I want right now. And I'm just going to put it partially through the stencil. Let's see how that looks. Not sure I like that in some parts. Let's just sort of see if I can get... Now, that doesn't really look like the stencil, but that's actually okay, because what we're going to do with this, you're going to see hints of it, and that's what I want. So I'm going to let that one dry. And now we're going to move forward. And I think for this large circle, I want to use one of my wood blocks. This one is a fairly recent wood block. I think you can still find this shape on Etsy. It's where I got this one. And I'm just going to ink it up. Maybe I'll just stamp it in here. But I think I'm going to try it. Yep, that'll work. Carry on. This time I'm going to use a stencil for this one. I think this one is really good. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to grab some paint and do the same thing, only with the sponge. And I don't need the whole stencil or even a straight line. I just want a little bit of color in here. Perfect. Perfect. All right. For this one, let's see. What do I want to do for this one? That one or... Yes, I want to do this one. You could use stencil butter for these, but since these are going to be photographed and not really used other than that, I don't bother with it. Plus it takes longer to dry than paint. If this little dot bothers you, you can get rid of that digitally. No sweat. Okay, leave that one out to dry. And I have one more. What do we want to do with it? I think I want to use one of my stamps on this one. Oops, I'm probably doing this off camera, sorry. I am inking up this stamp. And then let's see where I want to put it. I think right about here. And I like stamping on top of the gel plate because of the extra cushion it gives. And I'm sitting down doing this. Normally I stand, but right now we're doing this. There we go. I love that. All right, so I'm going to let these dry. And then I'm going to photograph them just with my phone. I am not a photographer. I'm not very good at photography. So really anyone can do this. So I'm going to photograph these and then we're going to meet up again on the iPad where I will show you what we're doing with these. Hey y'all, I'm back and here are the photos that we took of our masks that we just made for our iPad. And as you can see, I am not a photographer. These do not look very good. They are what they are. I just don't, my pictures don't come out that well, but I can fix those. And we're going to start by going into Art Studio Pro and I'm going to click on the plus sign. And this time I'm going to go to New from Photo. And I'm going to choose the first one here. And what I'm doing now is I am cropping it. I am going to actually go to adjust and I'm going to make this black and white because it was filmed in color. And now I am going to crop it. Right here. Just like that. That's all I'm going to do here. Now, I don't know if you can see, but you can see the watercolor paper texture in there. And I need to remove it from the white background because I'm going to go into a background eraser program and get rid of the white. So I'm going to adjust my levels. And I'm going to take my white level all the way over to the left or most of the way over till I see it get rid of that texture. And I might fill in my black a little bit. Now, I can try to remove the white in this program, but it is not going to get the stuff that's right in here. I can show you real quick what I mean. You can tap on it, cut that out, and you can still see that there are white pixels in here. And you don't want that in your mask. So I'm going to go backwards. And from here, I'm just going to go ahead and save this out as a PNG, of course. I rarely save things to JPEG unless I'm sending them to the printers and that's the format that they specify. So now we're going to go into our background eraser. There are so many of these on the internet. This one is very old. I do not know if it is still available, but there are other background erasers that I can link to. And here it is right here. So we're going to pull this in. And yes, this is the way I want it. I'm going to undo, I'm going to select color, and I'm going to tap on the white. And that gets rid of everything, even these little white ones right in here. And that's exactly what I want. So now I'm going to save this out. Now, if we start another one, see, we can go back out and we can grab, let's grab one of the ones with the color in it. This one might be difficult to do, or a little more challenging, shall we say. All right, let's go ahead and crop this little guy. And now he's still in color, so we're going to make him a black and white. I'm just going to accept the default because I am going to go back into levels and I'm going to get that white all the way up. But this time I'm also going to bring the black up as well. And I don't care that this didn't stamp perfectly. That's fine with me. I don't like things that are perfect. I like little flaws in them. We're going to save this as a PNG. And now back to our background program, background eraser program. Go back, stop editing. Yes, go back, pick a photo. There it is. Done. I'm going to undo that because there we go. Now, once again, it got everything. And it was fast. I don't want to sit there and spend 30 minutes trying to pick out the white in something. So I'm going to go through and do that to all of these photos, and then I'll be back with our project. Hey y'all, it's Trisha, and we're back with the rest of the project, this image that we're going to create. I went ahead and printed it out. This is what we're going to do with all of those clipping masks that we've made. And I do this when I used to teach iPad art classes. I would make myself a master document that I could remember all my steps to, because no matter how many times you do the image, you can't reproduce the same exact thing. It's just like physical art. If you draw something, you're never going to be able to draw it exactly the same way you did before. But these are the steps that I took, and I will be referring to this. That's why you see this out here, so that I can show you how I created the final image. So I am going to use Art Studio Pro. It is, for me, it's most similar to Photoshop, and I've worked in Photoshop since about 1993. I was a nurse. I was a pediatric ICU nurse, and part of my critical care registered nurse certification required us to develop programs. And so I developed the Open Heart Recovery Program for nurses for the hospital I was working in. And I needed a diagram of a heart that I could change the blood flow from. So anyway, that's when I started using Photoshop. So we're going to go with a new image, and I want a square image. I'm going to go ahead with this 3000 by 3000 pixels at 300 dpi, dots per inch. It's a printing format, and this is big. This I could probably print 20 by 20 on a canvas. So this is a pretty big big sized image. And the first thing that I'm going to do is add my base image. And I'm just going to use mostly my stuff, my gel prints that I've run through an app. This was just a gel print. I added a texture to it in a texture app. Let's see, I think it was Distressed FX maybe. Anyway, I'm just going to pull this out to the side. And there's my base image. Okay, now I'm going to add my first clipping mask. And we're going to use the one that we made that has the runes on it from Paula Keen. And I'm going to pull this out pretty large. It looks a little weird. Actually, I'm going to turn off my aspect ratio. If you have keep aspect ratio on here, then it's going to maintain the shape of your original image. But if you turn it off, then you can spread things out a bit. And that's kind of what I want to do. And I just want to use this to provide some texture. So now I'm going to pull in the image I'm going to use on top of that, which is going to be this one, which is another gel plate or gel print that I put through this app called Photodaw, and then I changed the colors on it a little bit. And I want it large enough to cover that black mask. And now I'm going to go into my layers panel. I'm going to tap on this layer, and right under masking, you're going to see clipping mask. And look at that. It's given us a little more texture. Now, to emphasize the texture, you can add a drop shadow, which is very easy to do under FX, but you do have to add it to your mask layer. This is just the covering on top of the mask, so any effects that you want to add to the mask, you're going to need to do it on this second layer. So I'm going to edit. I'm going to choose drop shadow and turn it on, and automatically you can see off, on, that it brings up just a little bit of texture, and it's visual texture. But I do like texture, and this is one way to create it in your digital art. So I think I'm going to accept these defaults the way I have it. Yes, so I'm going to go back and close. All right, now if I want to move both of these, which I do kind of want to move them over here. There. And also, I'm going to deselect. What you can also do is you can resize them as well. But I don't think I need to do that now. I may wait till later to do that. So now I'm going to tap on this top image, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to add another clipping mask, because I want to add my subject, which is going to be a rose image of a rose that I took. And I'm going to put this out. I think I'm going to turn it this way. Yeah, that's the way I want it to go. So I'm going to go back in and add this figure of a rose that I took and added a background on. My mother-in-law used to live with us, and she really liked roses quite a bit, and she liked all flowers in general. So I would pick some up for her from Trader Joe's every now and then, and I always photographed them. So once again, we're going to tap on this and hit clipping mask. And I want to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and go down and add a drop shadow. Except this time, I think I want to change the color to a more purpley hue. Yes, so you can change the color, you can change the radius and how far out it goes and all sorts of things. Okay, so now we're going to go back. Now I'm going to select that top layer again because I'm going to add something over here in this corner. I feel like it needs more work. So I am going to go and add a stamp I had made. Oops, that's the wrong one. Hello. Delete. Do that all the time. So now I'm going to add this text image that I have. This is just some asymmetric writing that I've done that I had made into a stamp because I like it. And I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to add yet another clipping mask. I told you I use clipping masks all the time. And I like this one's another one of those images. I took a bunch of background papers and some frames, old Polaroid frames that came in an app called Mob. I just recently bought some Polaroid frames from Mixed Media Art by Trina, and I really like those. I haven't played with them much though, but these came in a kit or in an app. It used to be called, oh my gosh. There was an app that used to be called Mob, L-O-M-O-B, and I got the frames from that. Anyway, we're using this image as a clipping mask once again. And once again, I'm going to drop down and add that drop shadow to it. Edit the effects, give it a drop shadow. And let's see, I think it's set on purple, and I'm probably going to go back to the black. And I might go out 10 pixels here. Yeah, there we go. That poofed it up just a little bit. All right, now I want something else on here. I'm not real happy with all of this, so I'm going to go back up to that top layer. If you stay on here and you add another image, it's going to automatically clip it. I will show you because I do it all the time. And then I realize, what is happening? And it's dropped it below. And that's not what you want. So you can fix it by pulling it up here, but then you have to unclip it. So that's why it's just easier to select that top layer and then add your image, and you won't have to do all of this. So now I have my image here, and this white should be easy to get rid of because there's not a lot of it and I don't have to do a lot of work. So I'm going to tap on the magic wand. I'm going to tap into the white part here, edit, cut, and then I'm going to deselect everything. There's still a little bit of white in there. I'm just going to pull my image in so I can get this white and do the same thing. Edit, cut, deselect. All right, now I'm going to move it by hitting transform. And I'm going to place it kind of like this, I think. Like this. I know this looks crazy. But now we're going to use a blending mode. And we're going to go into, whoops, blend modes are right here. We're going to go into probably overlay and see how that fixes things. But I'm also going to mask it out of the middle of the rows. And the way I'm going to do that is to go up under layer, add mask, reveal all, which means it's just going to have everything revealed, and you're going to paint with black to hide the area that you don't want. So I'm just going to go in here with the paintbrush. Mostly I don't want it in some areas of the flower here. Right like that. Okay. Now I think, do I want to drop the opacity down just a little bit? I may want to drop the opacity down just a little bit. All right, now I'm at the point where I'm pretty good with what's going on in the image, but I don't really like how the colors are working together. So I'm going to save this as a PNG, this whole image. Right there. And now I'm going to go into another app. And this app is called Tada. T-A-D-A-A. I've had this app for a long time. It is still available. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to grab, is this it? I think this is it. Grab my image. Now, I love the filters in this. So you can also do some editing and you can do, you know, a lot of things. It's got a lot of little filters. But I want this weird green one. Yes, I know it's wild. But if you drop your opacity, look what you get. I like how the colors are unified and how this just makes it all look so much better. Let's see, where along here do I like it best? Right about here. And that's about halfway. This doesn't tell you your percentage, but it's about halfway. And I'm going to click yes, I want to keep it, and then yes, I'm going to save it. And now we're going to go back to Art Studio Pro. I like to keep all of my steps in one document. So I'm going to add my new image, and it doesn't fit. Some of the apps out there will resize your image for you, which is really not cool, but they do. So I'm going to line this up as best I can, and then I'm going to save it again. The two apps that don't do this are Art Studio Pro and Procreate, which is good news. Now, the reason I'm going to save this again as a PNG is to make it a larger image. I want to maximize my file size wherever possible so that if I want to print this large, I can. All right. So now I think I do want to go to Procreate. I want to draw around some of the areas of the rose. And because my selection wasn't perfect, you can see that I have some edges that I just want to clean up. So that's where we're going next, is Procreate. And I'm going to import my photo. There we go. And the nice thing about Procreate is that it automatically, oh wait, no it doesn't. If you open a new document, it will automatically add your first layer. It won't let you edit on top of your background color, but you do need to add a layer. It's just non-destructive and you can always delete the layer if you mess up. So I'm going to take my paintbrush, and I think I've already got that selected. And I'm leaving a source for brushes in the description box. Procreate is really nice in that you can download brushes from other sources in the Procreate format. You can make your own brushes. There's lots of things you can do. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and put my opacity up. So now I'm just going to take this I want it a little bit darker than that. I am choosing a color within my image by taking my finger and holding down where I want to choose that color from. And it will put the color up here. So that way, back up, drop my brush a little bit. And with most of these brushes, they are pressure sensitive, meaning that if you bear down hard, the brush size will increase. And if you ease up on the pressure, the brush size will be thinner, which is very useful. For instance, I'm barely putting it down, and now I'm bearing down hard. So you can get a nice difference, and it's more natural, I would say. And every now and then I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to smudge some of this because I don't want to really make this very pronounced. I just want to clean up a little bit in some of these areas. This is not a great angle for me to work in. I'm filming this on my table, but normally I sit with it on an angle when I'm working. So mainly I'm just going down in here, and all of these white edges I'm going to fix. I may want to define this leaf a little more. Darken that area there. Okay, so now I want to take this blue color and do some of that in here too, and add some little accents and whatnot. So we're going to go and add a new layer. New color, new layer. Where do I want to pick from? Right here? Yeah, that'll work. Just kind of add some accents in here. Okay, I think that looks better. So now I'm going to save this out by going up under Share, PNG, and then you have to tell it where you want it. So we're going to save the image. And now back to Art Studio Pro, where I take everything. But one thing about Art Studio Pro, it automatically saves your images to your iCloud, which is fantastic when you have a zillion images. And see, Procreate doesn't alter the size of your photo. So we have two photos that are exactly the same size. And you can see the difference before I drew the outline and after I tweaked the outline, and I do think it looks better. But I am going to adjust a little bit of the contrast and the brightness and maybe the saturation. Not big adjustments, maybe 5. Just little small, maybe 3. All right. So basically this is the image. I'm happy with it, but I am going to put a frame around it because I love them. So now I'm going to go into another app that I really love, which is Chromatic Edges. This app, Art Studio Pro and Chromatic Edges are available for the desktop, for your desktop computer, should you want one. I've made a preset, and now I'm going to save it. I've already done this. I think in the future, if y'all want, please let me know in the comments. What I can do is go over each of these apps while not maybe doing a project, but just kind of showing you how you add a photo, what you do in each app. And I can go over some of these different, how to create a new edge and how to do this. If that's something that interests you, I can do a series of that, but let me know. I do like using my own artwork, so I do want to do some jelly printing too when my back is better, and I can stand again for a long period of time. So I stand when I work, except for iPad art. Then I curl up in the chair in the living room and work on my iPad. All right, this does take a minute to save. So I hope you have enjoyed creating our image today. This is what we made, and we used all those clipping masks, and this just gives you an idea of how you can make your own, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Y'all have a great week. Bye.